Welcome to Taking Stock. I'm Amanda Lang. Coming up, we are in conversation with Canada's Competition Commissioner after a review of the competitive landscape in Canada turned up some deeply negative findings. What needs to change to improve that? That conversation is still ahead. First, when it comes to competition in this country, here's what you need to know. The Competition Bureau reviewed the business landscape for a 20-year period, 2000 to 2020, and found that on 4 key measures of competition, the situation has gotten worse over that time. The measures it examined included concentration in already concentrated industries, whether the top firms in those industries are challenged or stay the same over time, new entrants to sectors, and both profit and price markups rose over time, suggesting less pressure to compete. The Bureau is the policeman of competition with the power to investigate things like abuse of market power, mergers that might stifle competition, price fixing, and deceptive marketing. The report notes that competition is important because it forces companies to compete for customers by offering better prices or better products, both of which fosters innovation and economic value. The report also found that the large firms dominating industries have become less efficient over time, with their economies of scale declining sharply. It also found that firms are quicker to pass on rising costs to customers rather than take a hit to profit in order to keep the business. And the report concluded that protecting and promoting competition should be a priority in Canada. Matthew Boswell is Canada's Commissioner of Competition. He is one of the reasons that report happened. Thank you for being with us, Commissioner.
Thanks, Amanda. Great to be here.
I guess I want to start with whether you were surprised by the findings. I'll be honest, it was pretty stark that on every measure, competition has deteriorated in this country.
I don't think we were surprised by the findings. I think we are so immersed in promoting and protecting competition that we understand how the landscape has been changing. And quite frankly, I don't think Canadians would probably be very surprised by the results of our study. They're very concerning, and they demonstrate what people are feeling in the marketplace on a daily basis.
And I guess the big one I took away from that is the lack of fighting for the customer, if you will. So where do you think people would feel that the most? Would that be on, and maybe it's a combination of things, to be honest, but would that be on price, or would that be on a lack of new product? Maybe we don't even know what we're missing because we don't see those new products or services that could come along.
Well, it's a lot of different things, as you say. I mean, it's higher prices, less choice, less customer service. I mean, that's a significant element of competition is how much you service your customers to retain them. And if you don't have to worry about retaining them, or you don't have to worry as much, you don't put as much effort into customer service. So, also a decline in innovation. So those are the impacts on consumers. There's another important impact that we're all talking about as well, which is productivity. Productivity growth in our country. Without competition, you're not going to get as much productivity growth. You're not going to get as much GDP growth. It's really, it is a key pillar to a capitalist society. And as President Biden is famous for saying when he announced his executive order on competition in the American economy, capitalism without competition isn't capitalism. It's exploitation.
So one thing, and this is not in this report, but you're kind of alluding to it here, and we do see that in that the largest firms get less efficient. In other words, as you say, they're less productive because they don't have to be over time. We've seen business investment drop off. Business investment, literally where companies spend on themselves to expand and grow, and that it tends to enrich themselves, but also employees and the overall economy. Could you connect those dots and say, well, yeah, sure, business investment will fall when there's no competition to spur it on?
Absolutely. If you're living a cozy life in a highly concentrated industry, you're not going to do some of those things. You're not going to dedicate as much to research and development. It takes away. Fundamentally, lack of competitive intensity takes away incentives for business in many different ways, incentives to compete, all the factors that go into competition.
There have been lots of reviews of pricing in this inflationary period. The Competition Bureau has been part of some of those. Can we assume that inflation might not have been passed on as quickly in a more competitive environment, or do we have to kind of set that aside and say when inflation is as pushy as it was post-pandemic, it just might have happened anyway?
That's a tough question to answer for sure, Amanda. But if there are more competitors in the marketplace, and some of those competitors are willing to not pass on as much, that is to perhaps reduce their profits in the hopes of maintaining or expanding their customer base, then we might not have seen it passed on as much.
You are a commissioner who wants to see a review of the powers at the disposal of the Competition Commission. In other words, you want changes so that there's more teeth, so there's more oversight. This report, I assume, sets that up, Commissioner, that this provides kind of a foundation. How does this lead to the next step, which is, okay, what do we do about this?
Well, I mean, I've been talking about reforming the Competition Act and putting more emphasis on competition in the organization of our affairs from very early on in my term as commissioner. And so it's not a question of this report is the driver. We've been talking about it. We've been pointing out the problems for years. Mm-hmm. We've been banging the drum and saying this is a real problem for our country. As a result, as a result of that, and as a result, I think, of Canadians' heightened awareness of the lack of competition in their daily affairs, politicians in Ottawa, for sure, in my view, are listening. There's right now going on in our Parliament, there are multiple different bills before Parliament that seek to address the competition problems in our country. And this government made changes, some early changes to the Competition Act in 2022. They're building on that now with some of the bills they have. And there, as I say, there are private members' bills. It's a cross-party or bipartisan belief, it seems to me, that politicians are understanding that Canadians are demanding dramatic change to competition in our economy, and that message is being heard.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're in conversation with Matthew Boswell, Canada's Commissioner of Competition. When we come back, we're going to talk about the role that a few big players have in shaping our economy. Stay with us.